asked quite a few people how they would describe love. And they said it was a feeling of deep affection, one of great fondness, one of wanting to be with that person all the time, making sure you protected that person. But let us dive into this now and see what we make of the word love. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, a big welcome to you. And if you enjoy this video, please share, like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the little bell to remind you every time I upload a new video. Of course, there are many kinds of love for your children, your siblings, your pets. But today we're talking specifically about the love shared by either spouses or life partners. When I first started researching this word, I thought, oh, what a great subject. That'll be really lovely to research. Not so. Remembering that our main objective on this channel is to be honest with ourselves. When we fall in love, and we all know what that feels like, we just can't bear to be out of each other's sight. Every time we think of that other person, we get a tingly feeling. We think about them most of the time, and you just can't think of life without that person. These feelings are normally combined with a feeling of desire and passion for that person, and it is the best feeling in the world. And we're so sure that it's never going to go away. But the bad news is, I'm here to tell you, it does. Maybe some of you are thinking now, well, I'm still in love with my partner after many, many years, and that is absolutely wonderful. And I'm so pleased, but for that feeling, that in love feeling, to remain after many years is definitely quite unusual. So if you have that, well, hang on to it. That's beautiful. The more likely scenario is that a couple will settle into life together eventually, and those butterfly in the tummy feelings will not be there every day. And yes, sometimes you may look at him or her and you feel a little excitement and think, oh, I really do love him or I love her. But mostly you will settle into real life with real life issues, unfortunately. Do you think you know each other really well by now? And that you could just love anything that he or she did. You're quite sure that nothing that they did could really irritate you or make you cross. And then you discover he's got this terrible habit that you never even noticed before. You just don't really know if you can live with this habit. Then another thing happens. Every time you go into the bathroom, his towel from his shower is lying in a wet bundle on the bathroom floor. You smile, you shake your head, and you think, and you pick it up. And then after a while, you're not really smiling about it anymore. You're actually getting quite irritated with this wet towel every morning, and you're feeling a little bit like his slave. His or her children from that previous marriage used to be so cute. They were so adorable. You loved them. Why have they become so irritating? Your mother-in-law is so demanding and so interfering. You just don't know how much longer you're going to be able to put up with this or keep quiet about it. When you were still in love, you used to love giving him or her little spoils. And when you were out for a meal, saying, no, I'll pick up the bill this time. No, let's not share the bill. It's my little spoil. Now, a while later, you've discovered he's actually a bit of a Mr. Scrooge and likes you paying the bill. It was a bit of an eye-opener. Now, I would say this is when real love comes into its own. How can you be in love with somebody who talks all the way through a movie, even though you've asked him not to? How can you feel in love when you've asked him 99 times to pick up his towel and you're picking it up for the 100th time? Yes, you could possibly kick it into the corner. Wouldn't take away your irritation though, would it? He's still doing it. You are definitely not feeling in love with your wife when her children from that previous marriage are plonked down in your space in the TV room and change the channel when you're trying to watch something. You don't want to say anything in case you upset her, but how are you going to put up with this? When he says, "Isn't it cheaper if you cook something for us at home rather than going out for a meal?" Oh, you really feel in love with him then, don't you? I think this is where we sort the men from the boys. Or rather, I suppose, the couples who are in love from the couples who love each other. Being in love is not going to get you through these difficult times. It just isn't. So are we saying we still don't know what love means? Taking into account these difficult times that we've just spoken about, what would it take in a relationship to make these sort of scenarios, which are going to raise their ugly heads, bearable? Well, considering that we do love the person that we're with, we've now decided that it's not just an in-love feeling, we actually do love that person. I suppose the first thing that we do is accept the things that we can't change. Perhaps a good idea would be to make sure that the person you're entering into a relationship with is actually your friend as well as your lover. As your friend, I think it's probably that much easier to sit down and discuss the problems that you're having and the obstacles in your life together. Sit down, discuss them, and find a way forward, as friends do. Her children, I'm afraid, fall into that nasty category of things that you have to accept, that you can't change. They are going to be there. They're not going anywhere. But you can call them in, call mom in as well, sit down with them and talk about it. But make sure that everybody has a turn to say how they feel. Perhaps you also making their lives really miserable in some way, and they wish they didn't have to come to your house every second weekend. But sit down, all of you, talk about it, and remember, everyone gets a chance to talk. As for your mother-in-law, a huge amount of assertiveness is going to be needed there, and that's on you to sort out. Explain to your partner that going out for a meal together is important to you. It keeps that specialness, if that's a word, alive in your relationship, and it really means a lot to you. Now, we all know that this is all possible in theory, but put it into practice, not so easy. That is why life is hard, and we don't manage to hang on to being in love. Now, the object of this video was to unpack and examine the word love. Are we any closer to an answer? Well, what's come out of this exercise for me is that love is much more than a feeling or an emotion. There are sometimes when it'll need to be a decision. There's sometimes when it'll take self-discipline. It's not always going to be easy. As a person in a second marriage, I know that love is not everlasting. If both parties aren't communicating, showing affection, making allowances for each other's failures, it chips away at that love. As if it was a big block of ice and you just chipped away a little bit every day until eventually you had a tiny little ice block, and then one day it melts and it's gone. Love is not everlasting like the love stories want us to believe. Right, in conclusion, I think what we're saying is that if we love somebody and we've said we want to spend the rest of our lives with this person, we will show that person affection, we'll respect that person, we'll be that person's friend, we'll try and show our love in any way that we can, and we'll try very hard to be tolerant and to try to sort out the problems as they arise, because we know that they will. And in return, you can only hope to get the same back. This has been an enormously eye-opening exercise. After talking to people, researching the word, and eventually coming to the conclusion that love is not what Shakespeare told us it was. I, in my opinion, don't think that love like that exists. It takes much harder work than that. And if you really love somebody and you know that there are so many more pluses than minuses to your relationship together, that's the deciding factor actually. You know that you want to spend the rest of your life with this person. And you do all of these things without having to work too hard at it. But I think we just need to be very aware that when those feelings of being in love aren't there anymore, it's not the end. There's years and years and years ahead of you of wonderful companionship and friendship, time spent together, laughing together, talking together, if you're both on the same page and you both love each other. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.